But the thing that I'm wondering is like enemies trying to flee. It's something that I have a lot of trouble making work in this game. It could, and there are like potentially, maybe it's not a problem. If you want to tell me it's not a problem, I'll agree with you. So consider that option. It could be that the thresholds in the book are just too low. It's like, I think the threshold for her is something like 40 hit points. When she's below 40 hit points, she tries to go. And that is one hit from this party. So once she's like so maybe the issue is that the thresholds are too low. Or maybe the issue is that I'm playing it. Yeah, it's below 40 hit points she runs. So then the other question is like, maybe the problem is that the way that I'm running it, I'm doing it too by the book. So here's the other question is, should I be, or should one be, when one is running this game? I'm not really asking for myself. I'm asking this as a conversation topic, a thing to consider. Is it time when a threshold gets crossed to break initiative rules and give that character a turn right then and there and just say, she's running, she tries to get out, so that the shifting, because the thing that I feel like it gets lost. Sorry, go ahead. Consider, I can ramble on this forever. This is something I think about all the time. What do you think, Armin?
That's a really interesting question. My instinct, this has only come up a couple times for me thus far in GMing Pathfinder, but yeah, I had a couple of, low-level mooks who I had run from a fight. But even as they were running, this was in Bloodlords, like, I think they triggered a reaction and got knocked down right away. I think by your character, in fact, because that beautiful, beautiful combination of reach and reactive strike.
I have the cheesiest character in our Bloodlords game.
Honestly, it makes me so happy every time it happens. I'm just like, oh, that's awesome. But yeah, my instinct was, in the limited amount I've encountered it, that the hit point thresholds are a little too low, honestly.
I think they'd be fine if the game was a game of linear damage progression, like, which I think like 5e is a game like that, where it's just like, you have 200 hit points, you do 40 hit points a hit. That means it's going to be like 5 successful attacks that this monster is able to stick around. It's like a little more predictable that way. I feel like Pathfinder, it's exponential growth. Like, you're going to slam the hell out of a monster right as they die. And like, I think they go from like 75% to 0%, like zoop, and they stick around. Like, that first 25% is much, much harder than, the last 25%.
Totally. That makes total sense to me. Like, the first rounds are all about getting the conditions on them, debuffing them,
getting into good tactical situations. You start off in the wrong place. They start off in the wrong place. In a 4-round encounter, which is like the model for this game, that means you're spending a round suboptimally, which I think is really frustrating sometimes for players, but it's also just like, it's just the way of the world. It's just like the way it is.
Yeah. You got to do your, set up the prep work for your little engine that your party does, and then execute on it. No, totally. That makes sense to me. I'm really interested by the idea of like stopping initiative or giving them a reaction to like immediately get around to flee. That's actually kind of an attractive idea to me.
Right, because the thing that you miss in like, they crossed the threshold, because they're always going to cross the threshold off turn, right?
Right.
It's always going to be on a player's turn that they cross that threshold. Not always, but you get what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
So it's like, for the GM, it's like the situation has changed. For the players, it's like the situation is still the same. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're making a choice as a GM, and you're not getting what you need to get out of it. You're not getting the like story progression thing.
Totally.
You know what I mean? It's like there's something happening in the GM's brain that is not showing up on at the table, and I think that's a problem.
Totally. And I actually love that when you have narrative first and then the mechanics come to match that narrative. That's really cool. I hadn't thought about that.